Hello and welcome to Construction Sport Weekly. We're back and we are getting amongst it. Plenty of stuff going on as ever. The weather's been shocking, so construction is very much in a load of mud again. It's more ways than one. But no, all been good. I'll just get cracking onto it really. What have I been up to this week? I had a meeting with someone very senior in the industry yesterday. Someone welcomed me in. I called them out last week and they actually said, come on, Steve, let's have a chat. So fair play to those people who opened their doors to me. More will be revealed as we go forward. A bit of action may come about, but there's a number of concerns. And I think what goes on at the very top of this industry really is unaware of actually what happens at the bottom of the industry. The part of the industry that actually moves the cogs and makes it go round is highly ignored, unfortunately. And we've got to get over that. I put a post out actually this morning or yesterday, last night, just on LinkedIn for that one. You hear the number, you may have if you've got some interest in the mental health side of construction, that 507 workers killed themselves in 2021. And that is a figure that I hear getting shouted around all the time. A lot of people go and say 2 a day. Well, if you actually take into account what day construction workers work, really, it's 24/7. So it doesn't really add up to me saying 2 a day. But 2021 results were 507. 2022 didn't get announced. 2023 haven't come out yet. Why? Who knows? Lots of talk about they're being hushed because they don't want people knowing it's got worse. Or it predominantly probably has, unfortunately, with the way that the world has gone, especially off the back of COVID and the way that 2020, 2021 was as well. But I'll be pushing more for that. I've been told apparently the Office of National Statistics will sell us the data for £300 because they can do the work for you to calculate it all and pretty much show us the figures of what actually went on in that year. But to me, it's very important for us to know that because we need to know that we're measuring against another year, say, and we can also then challenge the industry, if need be, to let them know that enough so far is not enough. And more needs to be done to support the construction workforce from the top to the very bottom. One thing that came up the other week, solving the UK's housing shortfall. This is a funny one that come up. Someone spoke to me about modular construction. We said about, and it actually come up with, again, a senior event. Someone said the best way to get over mental health and well-being is to start doing things more modular from warehouses where people can work locally. And then that work that they've worked on locally can then be taken away to be just put up on site with less time actually being worked on site. That is absolutely fine if you're making something out of the ground. But people like myself and people who work in our world of construction, spend electricians, I suppose, plumbers, everything. We need to put stuff in the ground, and you can't do that from a warehouse. So modular, it will play a part in it, I'm sure, but that is not going to be the answer to every part of this industry in terms of making sure people don't have to work transiently all the time, working away from home. But I've never got involved really in the modular world of construction. This article I looked at earlier was called Solving the UK's Housing Shortfall Requires a Modular Construction Rethink. 3D laser scanning emerges as a game changer in the modern construction world. How it all can be done by lasers and stuff like that, modular. But is modular buildings the way forward? What do you think, guys? If you worked on them, never worked on them myself. I can see you see on some sites it is very much like flat pack. It's just IKEA on steroids, isn't it? Really. I've not worked in that world. I'm interested to know more though, because we've had quite a lot of inquiries this week about modular stuff. That's why I've started looking at it. What are your views on modular buildings? Stuff being worked on away from site. Does it work? Do you get them onto site and then they just get put together by someone simple? Or is there always things go wrong, and then by the time you've actually mastered those problems, you might as well have just made it on site? That's kind of what you hear, but please let us know. Entertain me with that side of the industry because it's a bit new to me. TfL, good old TfL. One article popped up this week, a news article on TV, saying about one of the new candidates to run as mayor to get old Sadiq Khan out, was saying he's going to refund everyone back their money if they've had to pay the ULEZ charge. He then dropped it at the end. Only cars though. Didn't mention vans, so he doesn't care about the construction workers again. But he will do it for them. So I can't remember the guy's name. I can't actually find him. But there was someone saying that. And a lot of them, I see a few candidates are all, the way to get Sadiq Khan out by the sounds of it is to just tell everyone, if you let me in, I'll get rid of ULEZ. So ULEZ is a huge political chess piece at the moment. But TfL issues over 900 refunds after drivers wrongly charged for ULEZ camera placed outside a zone. So there's so much controversy on it, wasn't there? There's 900 drivers were incorrectly charged by the ULEZ camera, which had been put in the wrong place. Who done that? The motorists were angry after being charged when they were picked up by camera while driving through Harrow's Old Reading Junction, which is outside the ULEZ border. Transport for London had temporarily switched off the camera and repositioned it so it was only filming drivers within the zone. It said 927 people were incorrectly charged through payment accounts and had been refunded. Deputy Harrow Councillor leader Martin Ashton, who received a high level of complaints about the charges, said, "I do not even go as far as the supermarket without hearing about it. It is disgrace and complete incompetence. People have been photographed, unfortunately, driving along Reading, Old Reading Road, and turning left into Common Road. A lady was telling me she had been fined £12.50 and she couldn't understand why, because she was driving on a new non-ULEZ road. Was you one of those people? We'd like to hear from you." TfL's assured the cameras, you see them all the time, don't you? Especially in the world of TikTok and things like that. People are smashing these cameras down, quite rightly so. It's an absolute disgrace. It's not a wave. I think that the ULEZ system is wrong for one, especially for construction workers, because any decent construction worker, when he starts out doing what he doesn't go out and buy a new van and put himself into a serious amount of debt. He goes and buys himself an old banger of a van, something he can run around in proudly and load up and not be worried about scratching it here and there. And some great runners. That's how everyone I know done it. You go and buy yourself an old dog of a van. I've done it myself, and then a few dog of trucks, smash them around. But now, the way that ULEZ works, it's driving people into debt straight away from day one before you've even lifted up your hammer. You're asking people to take out finance, and literally, construction workers don't have 10, 15, 20 grand sitting in their account ready to spend on a vehicle. So they're being forced into this way of financing. And no disrespect, but a lot of them, if you can't get the finance, will be led down a nasty path of high interest loans. Is it just a way that this world, or this country, more than anything, drives people into debt? This country thrives on the public being in debt. ULEZ, go do one. On the Tools put an article, very interestingly, I found, the apprenticeship side. We've mentioned it a few times on here, quite a bit of traction in terms of the apprenticeship side of things. But apprenticeship starters have dropped in 2023. What is going wrong, they ask. The good guys at On the Tools have said apprenticeship starts drop. A review of the latest government data by ProTrade show there was approximately 4,530 construction apprentices starters between 22-23, which is 5% down from the 26,000 recorded the previous year. Whilst the figure is still higher than the number of starters in 2019 and 2021, the latest drop highlights the sector's continuing struggle to entice people into the industry amid the skills shortage crisis. A history of no progress. Data from the last 5 years of apprenticeship uptakes within construction shows that very little progress has been made. Following the anticipated drop in apprenticeship uptake during COVID-19 pandemic, there was a noteworthy rebound. However, despite the initial surge, the industry still falls short of level and need to address the demand arising from the escalating skills gap crisis. When looking at the top 100 most popular apprentice roles taken up between 2022 and 23, it was clear that construction's relevant roles lag behind areas such as data analysis, early years education, accountancy, and digital technology. Do apprenticeships need to be rebranded? Do they need to be changed? Do we need to find a new way of getting young blood in? Are we following an old system? Are apprentices outdated? Is there something in place where, yes, they are worth it? And I get that. I've seen the feedback from people saying they've helped a lot of people. Some people say it didn't help them at all. They prefer to be on site. But there's obviously a place for them. But do they need to be rebranded? Do we need to find new ways of actually doing it? New ways of educating the new people coming through. We've got the world of online technology now. Is there more stuff that can be done with that? Shall we embrace it? Who knows? Here we go. What else is on there? Oh, bit of jiu-jitsu on there. Back into jiu-jitsu this week. Had my first kind of first person get me in strangle me, shall we say? What hurt? But if you're not into jiu-jitsu, get into it. Give it a go. If you want to find a very interesting way, what I found with it, what's interesting, what I was told about, there's so much thinking that goes into it. Brazilian jiu-jitsu, really interesting. I liked it. It's chess, a lot of people say. It's all about knowing you're planning 2 or 3 moves ahead of yourselves. Give us a little like and a little comment back if you're into jiu-jitsu and do it. If not, give it a go and then come back to us and tell us what you think of it. I've been to 3 sessions now. It's early doors yet. I haven't competed yet. I will give it a bit of competition. I do like the idea of it. I don't play rugby anymore, and I do like to have a little bit of competition. So this is my new way of doing it. You've got to keep yourself healthy. My dear wife has got back into training as well, so she's doing really well with her running. Lads, if you're at work and you get home and you train, inspire the people in your household or let them inspire you, because, yeah, my dear lady is smashing at the moment with her running. So heads up to her. Top work, Lauren. You lovely, lovely lady. NPORS versus CPCS. Which is the best one? I, for a number of years, have always favoured NPORS because I can see it as a better way of getting experience quickly, knowing that you can get your tickets done a little bit quicker and then get out onto site. All I saw with the CPCS one was you're kind of pulled into a week or 2 weeks, of which cost you money to book on for a lot of people. I know some people get paid for the company, but I don't know many of them. But then also you've also got that 2 weeks without actually being paid as well. So you're losing money front end and back end. Now, NPORS system, I believe, if you've got a little bit of experience there, is a little bit quicker. But I've only done a course a few years back now. It may have changed. But I understand now, because I'm going through it myself, the MVQ side of things. And I do believe it's an absolute atrocious kind of situation because we're going to lose a lot of people. I know a few people who don't read or write, who don't understand computers and technology, who are now going to be literally told they've got to go and do a written test or a test online where they've got to read and write to a certain degree, or read predominantly, and operate a computer. And these people have literally been driving machines 40, 50 years. And they're the best machine drivers and literally probably some of the best machine drivers in the world. And they're being forced down this way. They've got to go for MVQs. They're not going to. It's going to send them into a complete mental state of affairs and terrible mental health side of it, shall we say? Spit my words out. Something's got to change. I don't see. So if you're machine driving, you have been for 40, 50 years, and then suddenly they now move the goalposts and you can't do your job and you're sacked or laid off because you're not fit for purpose, you've proven in the last 40, 50 years you can do that job. So where does the legal support come in for construction? We will be venturing down those channels to look for legal advice to get that out, because I believe that is it discrimination in the workplace? Does it go against the Equality Act? Should it be seen as diversifying the industry? How does it? I can't keep up with the amount of trigger words they have now, but if you look down the line and said, if you can't read or write, really, that's a disability because you're not able to do something. So it's a disability you got in the most respectful way, but you can't sack someone for that then, can you? So I think there's more to come before December the 31st when this new rule comes out. I'm hoping the industry realises it's not the right way to do things. And how does it work as well? You've got 5 years on your NPORS ticket and then you get your MVQ done and your CPCS, and then you immediately lose 3 years of your ticket because it then goes down to 2 or 3 years. And I think you guys will tell me. Mine's just been done at the moment, so I can't remember what it goes down to. But please let me know. It's a terrible state of affairs. I've spoken to lots and lots of people about it, and I still can't get my head around it properly. And I do think it's a complete disgrace, to be honest. There we have it. Laying off self-employed workers. Laying off self-employed workers or workers in general. Laying off workers laying off self-employed workers or employed workers in general. I know the employed worker thing's sticky, but in terms of people who are with umbrella companies, how does that work when you're with these agencies? You get told on a Friday you're finishing up. We don't need you Monday. I get it. Some people say, oh, but self-employed workers get more money than this, and the average employed worker, it's part of the risk they take. They deserve it, blah, blah, blah. Employed people, and I know this for sure. I've been employed and I've been self-employed. Employed people have they hate the thought of self-employed workers or freelance workers earning more money than them. It's just the way it is, because a lot of the time it used to be, and I know this for sure, in a foreman role, you'd get 32 to 35 grand a year on a main contractor, or you went freelance work, then you'd get 50, 60, 70 grand a year. It was just one of those things. And people say, oh yeah, but you don't get the job security, do you? Yes, you're right, but you don't get the fucking cash either. So what do you need in life? Bills got to be paid. But I don't think, in terms of 2024, the way that the world operates, that people should be able to get rid of someone on a Friday knowing that that person has not got enough time to find themselves a start the following Monday. These people have mortgages, they have families, they have bills. Aside from that, they're human beings and they shouldn't be left in that position. It's disgraceful. Why can't there be a human right of some degree for the workers on the ground where they have to have a week's notice paid? Now, my theory is if you get laid off on Friday and you've got to find a new job on Monday, you're paid for that week. However, what they can do is say, just to let you know, we're finishing you up this Friday, but you can work your notice period next week. Now, you have got to, as a construction worker, to show that you're willing, turn up that following week to get paid effectively. And if you don't work your notice period, then that's kind of on the worker. So there is this whole thing of, but the workers will just, they don't care about us. They'll just ditch us. Employers then say, vice versa. Fight between two people. It's a rock and a hard place. I get that. But I do believe the respect has to be comes downhill in a way. And the employer needs to kind of push that to make sure they have the right relationship with their staff. If a job is planned properly, they shouldn't be telling. This is not just saying about people being laid off for no reason, by the way. This is people being laid off also at the end of a project. This is people being laid off mid-project. So I've just been contacted this week by, I know, of 15, 20 people this week who have literally just been laid off a job. The main one was the A47 job up in Galliford Try, Gasworks up there. Blowford, I think it's called. They've just got rid of a load of people, even though they were all told they've got 6 months or a year left on that job. And they've literally just off-hired everybody. That's the main contract, Galliford Try. I've literally turned around and done it. Well, I find it quite disgraceful, really. Because these people have put off work with other people. And it's not, I don't blame the agencies they work for, the contractors they work for. I think it's got to be done. Because this is a massive headache. I can see it. I've been contacted today, actually, by a few actual agencies saying it's a headache they deal with. The client just turns around and says to them, because get rid of your staff this week unexpectedly. So there's no winners here, guys, apart from the person at the very top, the client, does that. And I've been there. I've been on a site before. I was working with Kiers and Murphys, and ACOM on a Thames water project, and there was 400 workers, and they turned around and said, make it 250 next week because we're saving money. And 250 people had to be laid off overnight, basically, ready for that following week. It was a complete disgrace. There's other ways of saving that money, I believe. Just for instance, off-hiring equipment that's not needed anymore. I've seen that a lot. Stuff just sitting in containers will cost a serious amount of money every week. But the easy way to make the money back is just sack the bloke. So a little bit disgraceful. Another subject, what is a touchy subject for many reasons. See this one article on Reddit. I know it's not obviously inaccurate and it works all differently around the world, but it's always been in the 90s. But 95% of all custody in the UK goes to the mother. How is that equality? That's a question that was raised online. And I've heard that. I've actually heard the low 90s. So I'm not politically into this as such, in terms of what I think is right and what's wrong. But I do believe, obviously, Paul Doran-Jones, a rugby player, England one. I heard him on a podcast many years ago now, actually, and he said it was in the 90%, but then 70-odd% of Mao prisoners are also from fatherless backgrounds. So do your maths, and it clearly shows that people need their fathers. So I personally come across one hell of a lot of this in terms of mental health and construction. I personally know 3 or 4 people who are directly going through this at the moment, and this is men who are deprived access to their children at any length. And I'm telling you now, that is what kills people. That is what turns men, to do stuff that they shouldn't do. I know it's a dark one, but there's got to be more support out there. There's women out there, and it's a sticky subject, isn't it? There's always differences between the two people who are fighting, but the people who suffer for it, by the sounds of it, are very much the children. And it's what I hear a lot of, and I see at the other end, like the man will be saying to me how long they've not seen their kids for and how much it is slowly ripping them apart. And it's not a case of, one day they'll get over it. Every year that they don't get to see them or month is a week or month of memories they don't get. So something needs to be done on that, isn't it? Or any women out there, there's a few men I know personally. If you listen to this, give them the bloody access to their children just for a little bit, because we're seeing too much bad news rising on this subject. There we go. And that is about it for Construction Sport Weekly. Thank you all for your time. We'll be going into next week open-minded and ready to take on the industry. My plea, though, no, one more actually, I was supposed to say. We, as Construction Sport, have been speaking to a lot of other organisations, and I think it's now coming to the point that we need representatives to stand up to the people at the very top of this sector and tell them things aren't right. But we will know, and we know that through the likes of TikTok, we've really, really appreciating the love we're getting through that in terms of people getting behind us. But with people that get behind us is power in a way. With these people behind us, we can show the numbers we've got and the support we're getting. And that is the kind of stuff that turns things. I watched Sidemen's documentary the other day on Netflix, and it just shows how much the power of a big audience has, even with political government-based decisions as well. If there's going to be a way of this construction industry getting the change that it rightly needs on the ground, it needs the support of the construction workers to come together in any way, shape or form and put them. I'm willing to stand up and talk to the people at the top of this industry and tell them enough is enough. I'm willing to say whatever it is, what's happening on the ground, what needs to be said. If you've got stories that need to be said to the people above, please let us know. Get behind us. Vote cars like... No, joke. There's no position to fight for at the moment, but I do truly believe that with a bit of power behind us, we can actually show that it's the only way it's going to change mental health in construction, I believe, because at the moment, the people at the very top, we've swallowed the pill this year, I've said it already, the industry does not care about the mental health of the industry at the bottom. I've spoken to a couple now of media outlets, and they have told me that the worst kind of, the least effective articles they put out in the media in construction is mental health and wellbeing based. The best ones they get are things like liquidations and scandals. But when it comes to the powers that be knowing about mental health in construction, this is not to stir the pot. This isn't to upset anyone, but they do not care about the people on the ground. We can see it. I've been pushing for 7 years now, 8 years, and you can see how hard it is for us just to try and get support by the people at the top, for them to even open up doors and bring us in and say, let's help you change, or to even say, let's work together. These people just aren't doing it, and you've got to accept it. And we've accepted it, but we'll power on with the people that we know and trust and like around us, and we'll just carry on bringing people together as we can, the good people in this industry, and come together and pretty much show that we've got a lot of people behind us that we speak for. There's 2 or 3 million people in the construction industry. When the powers that be realise that those 2 or 3 million people are finding a voice, then they will, I promise, start to change. Because suicides in construction, again, I know this firsthand. I know this because I spoke to someone the other day. They don't want it to become a thing. They don't want to have to report suicides to the HSE. You know why? Because it will tarnish their brand and their business. That is the truth. I've heard it firsthand. It's not anything to do with protecting the person and the worker and the family that he works for or she works for. It is because the company does not want to be tarnished with news like that on its conscience. It's happening already, but because it doesn't get reported, they kind of get to brush it under the carpet. But the tier 1 contractors out there, the likes of Costains, the likes of Volker Fitzpatrick, the likes of Galliford Try, the likes of Balfour Beatty, the likes of Kias, what have they done where they've actually got net to invest in something that's really going to support everybody? Have they even hired someone to really show what they're about? Have they got a marketing team on board to really promote the positives of how good this industry can be? None of them have done anything. You can see that. I'll tell you what they have done. They've flogged mental health first aid courses like it's going out of fashion, like some kind of PPE COVID scandal. And now that's fading off. And you can see that. We've seen that more and more, the amount of people saying, and it's proven it's completely ineffective. And results by looks have got worse. But It's not changing. People are being given a toolbox talk one week and sacked the week after. And then this is what we're up against, guys and girls. Please give us a like and support. If you know a construction worker and you're watching our little TikTok, can you please recommend to that person to give us a like? We massively appreciate it. I don't beg for much, but it's showing where voice is growing and we're able to get a bit more power by getting the people of this industry behind us. Like I say, we're willing to stand and fight for everyone who deserves the right to not go to work and be mentally broken, shall we say. Happy days. Construction Sport Weekly. Thank you very much. Have a cracker of a weekend. Bosh!